Hey, it's Soul with another video, and today I'm going to take you through gearing in Season 3 of The War Within. Raiders, Delvers, and Mythic Plus World, I gotcha. We're going to go through progressions shared by all kinds of players, and then break off into each lane and talk up the what to do's and what to not stress over too much. Keep in mind, this information is based on the PTR, and for all I know, it might change when realms go live and I'm going to feel very silly. Use the navigation thing below to slide where you need to be, but if you don't mind, please like the video if it's useful, subscribe for more WoW coverage, and catch me live where I'm streaming. In case you need it, I have a handy dandy poster-sized spreadsheet to be a reference guide of where to get what in the season, and a link to that is in the video description. Starting with the preseason, let's begin with what everyone's going to be doing, the campaign. It's kind of beefy, but not too beefy, and it'll award Season 3 Explorer Track gear, which might be useless for your main, but you might want to consider bringing in a lesser geared alt to do the campaign so they can take advantage of the gear upgrades. By the time you've gone as far as you can go, you will unlock a skip that'll bring your other characters to the same state. They'll just miss out on the Explorer gear and whatever Valorstones you would have gotten. With the initial part of the campaign done, you now have the Rishi wraps, and now no other cloak matters. You may want to start rethinking your Darkmoon Fair embellishments if you were using your cloak as part of that setup, but I'll cover crafting in a different section. During this first week, you'll progress towards your first unlock for the Rishi wraps, and you shouldn't need to do anything extra. For future reference, in later weeks you can get the upgrade items you need from completing delves, raids, dungeons, and doing warrant quests out in Koresh. You can pick those up from a bulletin board in Tazavesh after completing the quest. Important thing to note out, progression for the Rishi wraps is entirely account-wide. Once you get enough threads on your main and apply upgrades, all of your alts will also have threads, and just need to individually apply those too, making this super alt friendly. The progression unlocks give more item level to the cloak and thus more throughput, but the perks only affect outdoor features as opposed to being like this really big power jump. That's a more familiar feeling from the borrowed power era. Stat altering fibers can be bought from a nearby NPC shortly after getting the Rishi wraps. You'll be walked through all of that stuff, but better fibers are crafted by tailors. Tailors are going to need to reach a renown level of 5 to access that recipe, so it might be a wait, it might not, you just need to get the materials and then send someone a crafting order to get your fibers made. These can be swapped out freely, so you only ever need to make at most one for each secondary stat you care about per character. There will be weekly quests in Koresh, and my guesstimate is that this won't be a thing during the preseason. You can do previous activities for weekly rewards, but we should expect at most for these chests to instead drop adventurer gear and basically half of a bountiful key. Again, I'm not entirely sure if that change is going to happen in the patch or the season starts, but you want to keep an eye out for world quests that offer coffer key shards for Season 3. The tooltips will tell the entire story. Also, a crafting spark may or may not be available during the preseason, really just depends on the schedule. Nothing's really changed for gear crafting, there are no gear recipes added, but you may want to make some considerations. I mentioned your cloak is going to be slot locked, there's no changing that. A pair of boots for every armor type is available in the upcoming raid. These affect the proc rate of your Rishi wraps, and currently there doesn't seem to be any other gear with this perk, and we're not sure if these boots can appear on other rows of the Great Vault like tier sets can. So you can see how Delve and Mythic Plus people might be a bit tilted over this. Whatever the case, the point is, it might not be in your interest to craft high-level boots either. Finally, there's a trinket and weapon combo available for caster DPS and healers that might be desirable. If so, that's going to affect weapon crafting too. As you're questing, you may start gathering up more weathered crests, and you can use those to craft low-level epic gear, and by low-level I mean the equivalent of low-level veteran pieces. You're probably motivated to graduate from this gear level kind of quick, so I'd consider this to be a last priority thing to do if you're really hurting for gear in the preseason. Now let's round up the early gearing. Your first stop is going to be at the world boss, who's guaranteed to drop a piece of Warbound champion gear. Good luck. There's a clear direction to go during the preseason, and that's to run Mythic Zeros in the hope of getting champion level gear. The earlier access is a change from previous seasons. 6 out of the 8 dungeons will be available in Mythic difficulty, as Tazavesh is coming in Mega Dungeon form, and that'll open with the season. More on that later. In preparation for Mythics, you want to slam Heroics in case you want Adventurer track gear, maybe World Quests if they're available. From testing, I have a feeling that this is going to be very limited in the first week, if they're up at all. Drop by Dorngal and pick up the Dungeon Weekly Quest too, check if it offers credit towards the new 11.2 reputation. That's going to help crafters, but not those who are looking for gear off the renown track. That's a bit of a reach in these first few weeks. Finally, consider crafting with whatever weathered crest you come across. Delves aren't going to drop gear, but they are going to be your path to obtaining hero track gear from the Great Vault the following week, but you need to get there first. All delve tiers will be open according to the developer schedule, but that actually means you have to progress from tiers 4 to 11. Your goal though is to reach tier 8 and beat that, because that'll give credit towards the Great Vault. Make sure you clear enough 8s and higher to maximize your choices of gear from the vault. The remainder of this guide will cover what's happening during Season 3 when everything starts opening up, and we'll go over the options. Your first stop should be the Great Vault, where it hasn't been confirmed whether or not tier pieces will actually start appearing. Don't grab anything yet, just take note for later and then pick and choose whatever you like. Starting with PvP gearing, that's as straightforward as it's always been. Even before the season, one can start taking on battlegrounds for honor gear and recipes to make the new PvP sets. It's expected a quest will appear where you can create a higher level epic weapon, giving anyone a good jump in throughput before replacing it with maybe something else later. As for the rest of PvP, well, like I said, nothing's changed, just jump in and hope the rated gods are kind. Moving on to outdoor content, you first want to knock out any new campaign stuff you see on the map. This should include unlocking the new feature, Ecological Succession, and progressing through this will unlock a weekly quest to score you the usual epic gear and coffer key. There should also be a special assignment available on Koresh, and don't forget the world boss. You'll want to drop by Dornagal and pick up all the weeklies, including the dungeon weekly for the new rep. There are some changes to outdoor rewards I mentioned earlier, and I'll outline them in detail here on screen. To maximize your weekly gains from outdoor content, Koresh is going to offer 2 veteran chests. Dornagal will offer 2, maybe 3 more. The old rules apply to these chests, where the first 2 give veteran track gear, the first 4 will give full coffer keys. For the sake of transmog unlocks, you might want to focus on the Koresh chest first and then work your way down to Kazalgar for the keys. Other outdoor activities and special assignments from older zones will no longer give veteran gear and fully restored coffer keys. This has been changed to adventurer gear and 50 coffer key shards. If anything, it might still be worth knocking out these for the 2 additional coffer keys on top of all your other activities, but if you're not starved for keys or other resources, hey, no sweat. Also, keep an eye open for world quests that give gear to fill out gaps and coffer key shards. I mostly covered crafting already, but I also want to point out the usual heroic crest that's available towards the end of the renown track, but that's like super far away. If you've completed the campaign up until now, you'll also have a new quest to clear the raid and earn another heroic crest. Not everyone's going to be able to nail that so quickly, but in the second week of Season 2, Story Mode will be available for anyone who's completed the campaign up to this point, and will give credit towards obtaining that crest. Now let's talk delves. The progression hasn't changed, but the ramp up is going to feel slower than before, and by that I mean that there's going to be a ramp up at all. Under the Delve Season track, finding Delver's bounties will require you to progress 2 nodes in, which is 8,400 Delver's Journey points. That's new to the season. We're not sure when we're going to start seeing the quest where the first delve you complete each week gives you 3,000 Delver's Journey points. My guess is week 1 of the season. But basically, for anyone interested in super maxing out their gains for this first week, there's going to be a grind in front of them, as the path to constant gains is to keep running bountiful delves across as many alts as you can until you hit this milestone. Something else to point out, but probably shouldn't worry about yet: when reaching the 3rd milestone, characters who clear tier 9 and higher delves will run into a vendor who sells the delve trinkets at the cost of undercoin. The trinket selection rotates each day, and while there's a schedule out there on the internet, I'm going to hold off on sharing it in case there are changes to it. I don't want to mess with your heads. For your more hardcore players, your early goals are to reach the 2nd milestone, get a Delver's Bounty, and use it on a tier 11 delve for hero gear, and to fill your vault up with at least tier 8 delve clears. How soon you want to do that? Well, that's going to be up to you. Crests and Gilded Crests will drop the same way they did in Season 2. 21 Gilded across 3 clears of tier 11 bountifuls, and another 10 if you use the Delver's Bounty at that level. In the longer term, delves are going to be a useful stop for newer characters to pick up delve trinkets as soon as they can clear 9s, or they could ask for some help too. Progressing through Mythic Plus World hasn't changed at all, so your early goals will be to progress towards +6s to start earning hero gear and Gilded Crests, and eventually +10s to start earning Myth Track from the vault. However, a new twist is being added that might change the whole game up. Tazavesh the Veiled Market opens up at the start of Season 3, but it's hard mode only. There's no attunement or special item needed this time around, you just gather your homies up and give it a shot. Now, it's meant to be tough. The game is going to tell you outright the recommended item level is 707, and you get hero gear as drops, which sort of makes Tazavesh seem unattractive as a gearing spot as opposed to clearing +6s. But when you complete it, it counts as doing a plus 10, so myth track gear from the vault. With this in mind, I'm kind of directing most folks to look here as the place to farm for most of your gearing. Tazavesh is going to ensure Season 3 gearing will be super fast for those who can manage steady clears of the Mega Dungeon. Meanwhile, I might be like, hey Guild, who wants to do like the first few bosses and then scrape some gear that way early in the season. It also makes for an interesting version of endgame dungeons for gamers who want a challenge but are skittish over the Mythic Plus philosophy. I can also imagine lots of people using this opportunity to sell carries through the dungeon or just the final boss. Now, I'm not knowledgeable if there are protections against those lockouts, so commenters, please correct me if I'm wrong. Raid progression is also going to be as straightforward as it's always been. Metaforge Omega is going to include a raid renown track similar in vibe to Undermine. This time it's only 15 renown levels down from 20, and new to the track, it includes nerfs to the raid trash. So in future runs, I guess we'll be cutting through trash a lot faster, which I'm sure is a welcome offer. The first wing of the season will include the first wing of Raid Finder, featuring 3 bosses and a chance at tier tokens for the legs and gloves. Closely related to this, it's expected the catalyst will be available week 1 of the season, and will grant a new global charge every other week. I mentioned this earlier, but just a reminder, at the moment the raid is the only source of obtaining the boots that increase the effects of the Rishi wraps. We'll see if there's anything more to learn once the season starts. As you're gaming, you're going to earn crests and Valorstones, and I'm going to share the same strategy I recommended during Season 2, and I think it worked out great. There's some very simple rules to follow. First rule, only apply upgrades using rune crests and higher. So I'm basically saying ignore weathered and carved upgrades, only upgrade champion gear and greater. The second rule is you can ignore the first rule if you're close to capping on Valorstones. And that's pretty much it. The idea is to only spend when you have lots of Valorstones and your likelihood of starvation is much lower because you're only going to be using upgrades on higher level gear. You'll only ever be able to apply so many upgrades because of the crest caps. This approach applies to both mains and alts, especially alts who are typically going to get direct gear upgrades faster once we're well into the season. By basically not upgrading anything below champion level gear, you're going to save a ton of resources, and later on when the crest cap is lifted, or if it's lifted, you'll have lots of crests to convert into higher level ones for upgrades. The rules behind those upgrade milestones haven't changed, by the way. Once you no longer need a certain crest to upgrade any of your gear, you can then trade up those crests for higher ones and your alt will enjoy a discount. This next section is for the super optimizers, where I'm going to kind of summarize and give recommendations on what to do early on. Pre-season, do the campaign and unlock your Rishi wraps. Keep an eye open for a tailor who unlocks the fiber recipe early. Knock out the world boss for the guaranteed champion gear. Clear delves up to tier 8 and run 8 of those to max out your vault choices. Then push each of the mythic dungeons for champion gear chances, and then push 2 more to make sure you max out your vault choices there too. If you're able to farm up coffer keys from world quests or weeklies, definitely do so. When the season starts, consider crafting a PvP weapon if the PvP quest is available. Take a look at your vault, but just look at it, especially if tier happens to drop right away. In no particular order, you want to do the following. Blast through the first Raid Finder wing for a chance at tier pieces and veteran gear. Smash the raid boss. Unlock and complete the Koresh weeklies and then the Dornogo weeklies for veteran gear and coffer keys. Get more coffer keys by completing the legacy outdoor activities till they stop dropping coffer key shards. Slam tier 8 delves and use bountiful keys to get some quick champion gear. If it seems feasible, push harder towards unlocking Delver's bounties, then hope you get lucky enough to encounter Kaiveza or buy the item to summon her. Clear a bunch of tier 8, use the bounty and clear a tier 11 for the full 31 gilded that week. Then proceed to your desired endgame. It might have been delves, or you can start pushing keys and organized raids. As long as you're being conservative on your upgrades, you'll never go dry of Valorstones or need to hard farm them up. Going forward, your routine should shift a bit. You'll be doing less work towards veteran track gear and pushing deeper into champion, then hero and myth track activities. Some gamers will live over in Tazavesh as their endgame group activity. Others will keep living in delves or come up with some other fangled routine, but many of you are going to dabble in a bit of everything to gear as fast as possible. I suggest letting your alt hang a step behind your decided main, that way you can focus on hitting the usual milestones to unlock crest discounts. I think everyone's going to win this season, but late game players are going to win out just a bit more thanks to Tazavesh being an easy way to secure myth track gear a bit earlier in the season. I think that about covers everything. If there's a tip I missed, let us know in the comments, because in the end, we're all just trying to help each other out. Please like the video, subscribe for more WoW coverage, catch me live, and I'll catch you later. Stay safe, stay healthy, and stay breezy.